Morning friends, welcome back to the online classes. Yesterday we had started a new lesson number 9, accidental tourist. So today I'll continue the same chapter. We had finished at how the narrator was upset, he was confused with the things, he could not remember things properly. When he goes to a cinema, he forgets where the lavatory is there. Or when he goes to the hotel room, he forgets his room number. Every now and then goes to the reception asking for his room number. When he was going with the family, the zip got stuck and everything spread onto the floor of the airport. His finger got a little hurt, little blood came. For that he made a lot of noise, and a woman was sitting beside him, especially the nun, on whom he had dropped the drinks, and he was not able, not only once but twice he dropped it. So he was not knowing what exactly had happened, and the nun was shouting at us. Up to here we had seen the chapter. Let us continue. Page number 58, the last paragraph, starting 58, last paragraph. This, however, was not my worst experience on a plane flight. My worst experience was when I was writing important thoughts in a notebook, by socks, clutch rings carefully, etc., sucking thoughtfully on the end of my pen, as you do, and fell into conversation with an attractive young lady in the next seat. I amused for her for perhaps 20 minutes with a scattering of urban bonus motors, then retired to the lavatory, where I discovered that the pen had leaked and that my mouth, chin, tongue, teeth and gums were now a striking scurb resistance navy blue, and would remain so for several days. So he says that this is nothing, he has got a lot of experience, but this was not the worst experience. Worst experience was just about to come. What was the worst experience? Again, he was traveling in the aeroplane. He travels in the aeroplane many, because he's a writer, he travels many places. So he was traveling in the aeroplane and he was writing something, noting down on his notebook everything, same thing, that not to forget the things or the keys or whatever, as he says, buy socks or hold the cup carefully, glass carefully and all those. He was just noting down and started thinking. Usually people, when they think, they keep pen is folded in one side, and at the top side where the cap is there, that part is usually put into the mouth, and people think, there are people who think like that. But the narrator did the reverse. Where the nib was, that part he put into his mouth and started thinking. And next to his a lady was sitting. He was started talking to her, making kind of friendship, or maybe telling her about the things and all those things, about the bonus mothers, urban bonus mothers, that is how the people live in the urban people, about the people, how the culture and all those things. He was just talking for 20 minutes, keeping that pen nib into his mouth. He was going on talking, going on talking. After 20 minutes, when he was going to the washroom, the lavatory, there he found, when he saw in the mirror himself, he found that the whole mouth, the teeth, the tongue, the chin, everything was blue, because the nib started leaking. Now nib you put in the mouth and the water, the saliva gets inside it, it becomes more liquid, and your warmth of it melts the ink, and it starts melting and started in his mouth, and the whole thing was blue. He was terrified, because that color, that blue ink, will remain there in his mouth, in his lips, on his teeth, gums, everywhere, at least for few days. It will be there, and people will definitely ask the moment they see you, hey, what happened to your mouth? Why it is blue? What happened? So he has to give the answers. So then people will laugh at him. So he was very much worried about it. What has happened. This was the worst experience that he had. So you will understand, I trust, when I tell you how much I ache to be suave. I would love just once in my life to rise from a dinner table without looking as if I have just experienced an extremely localized seismic event. Get in, camped, close the door without leaving 14 inches of coat outside, with a colored trousers, without discovering at the end of the day that I have at various times sat on chewing gum, ice cream, cough syrup and motor oil, but it is not to be. So he says, now you understand that how much confused person I am and how I am behaving. That I sometimes don't remember things, or I don't remember how to behave in front of people, or how to take care of myself. Sometimes when he travels, when he goes into a taxi, or when he goes and sits in the car with all his gown or the long coat and all, when he sits, some part of the dress will be outside. You will close the door and some part of the dress will be outside the car. Usually happens with the ladies when they wear the saris or the chunnis and all. When they close the door, they don't absent-mindedly, some part of the sari or the chunni will be outside. No? Similarly, he forgets that his clothes is outside. Sometimes when he goes and sits outside in a park or in a restaurant or in some places where he goes in, he doesn't look. Usually what happens, before sitting, we turn and look whether it is clean or not, or we touch and see whether it is clean or not. But he doesn't. He just goes and sits there. So sometimes what happens, on the chair or on the bench or on the desk, this chewing gum will be there. Sometimes the coffee may be spilled on the chair. Sometimes this oil, if he's gone to the mechanic to repair his car and all, the chairs will be there. He won't see that oil is fell on it. He just goes and sits. So his dress gets dirty every now and then. So he doesn't think from his mind. He's not conscious when he walks. He is always absent-minded. He just walks and always some or other problem creates for himself. Now on planes, when the food is delivered, my wife says, take the lids off the food for daddy, or put your hoods up, children, daddy is about to cut his meat. Of course, this is only when I am flying with my family. When I am on my own, I don't eat, drink or lean over to tie my shoelaces, and never put a pen anywhere near my mouth. I just sit very, very quietly, sometimes on my hands, to keep them from flying out unexpectedly and causing liquid mischief. It's not much fun, but does at least cut down on the laundry bills. Now, when he goes with his family and when he's about to have his lunch or dinner, whatever, in the plane, when the non-veg comes and all, and when he's trying to take his fork and knife to cut the meat, the wife would say, come on children, either you open the lid and give to your father, otherwise he will put everything down, or shut your hood, put your hood, because he's going to cut the meat. Now when the dinner comes on the table, when he tries to open the lid, he takes everything out. Actually, when the lid is, some lids are there that can be opened, and sometimes when it is hot, the steam gathers and it becomes tight. So you have to hold it down and then open. So what he does, he just tries to lift it straight away, and what happens? Everything falls on the table. When he tries to cut the meat with the knife and fork, when he trying to put the fork into the meat, it slips and flies here and there. That's why she says, put on your hood. Now, he says that whenever he goes with the family, that time only he eats the food in the plate. Otherwise, he is hungry. When he is all alone, he doesn't order anything, doesn't eat anything. Even drinking also, he doesn't drink anything, because he knows that if I take a bottle, a glass, it will always fall and somebody will get wet. So he doesn't do all those things, because he saves money. Because once the dress gets wet or gets dirty, again he has to give for the laundry, and extra expenses would be there. So to save that, he doesn't eat, doesn't drink anything. I never did get my frequent flyer miles, by the way. I never do. I couldn't find the card in time. This has become a real frustration for me. Everyone I know, everyone is forever flying off to Bali, first class with their air miles. I never get to collect anything. I must fly 100,000 miles a year. Yet I have accumulated only about 212 air miles divided between 23 airlines. Now, he never got his air miles, the flyover. Whenever he frequent flyer miles, he never gets. Previous time we have seen that, yesterday we have seen the class in the lesson, that he was trying to take out that card when he was in British Airlines. They had used for the card, trying to get all got here and there. So he sometimes forget to take the card, and that's the reason that he never got that kilometers, the miles for his air flyer. Because if he had flown 100,000 miles, if you had flown 100,000 miles, then you get a vacation in Mali. Okay, for a holiday vacation you get with your family. The Mali. So he never got it because either he forgets the card or he doesn't. Totally, in 23 flying, he has got only 212 miles recorded because every time he forgets the card to take out. This is because either I forget to ask for the air miles when I check in, or I remember to ask for them, but the airline then manages not to record them, or the check-in clerk informs me that I am not entitled to them. In January, on a flight to Australia, a flight for which I was going to get about a zillion air miles, the clerk shook her head when I presented my card and told me I was not entitled to any. Now, what happens? Why he did not get this flyer miles? Because either he forgets the card, he doesn't get. When he checks in, he forgets about the card. So unless you enter it in the card, you won't get the air mile. Sometimes the authority says that you are not eligible. We do not have this facility. Now, British Airways has started this facility. It doesn't mean that every airline will have. Some may add, but others not. So sometimes he doesn't get. Now, once when he was flying to Australia, it was a big tour and good number of miles he would get. So when he presented the card, they said that he was not entitled anymore to this card because it cannot be added. He questioned why. The ticket is the name of B. Bryson and the card is in the name of W. Bryson. I explained to her the close and venerable relationship between Bill and William, but she wouldn't have it. So I didn't get my air miles and I won't be flying to Bali first class just yet. Perhaps just as well, really, I could never go that long without eating. So when she asked why, then she said that your name is B. Bryson, whereas in the card it is written W. Bryson. So he said that it's a mistake. Bill and William both are same. Both are same. It doesn't matter. But she said no, we cannot give. Card has to have same name. What name you have got. She understood that he is not going to get the air miles again. He will be he has to go there and cannot go to Bali at all. And he has to wait for it. One thing. Second thing, he thought that he has to be always empty stomach because if he eats, then people will be disturbed. So this is the narrator who is always confused, who is always in problem, who is always in trouble. I think you might have understood the chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day.